Hey guys, it's Matt. Check this out. I believe our friend Danny of the Danny Mindley YouTube channel, a YouTube channel I've talked about a few times, linked to at least once over the past year or so. I just watched his most recent video on money. I believe he's gotten our understanding, or at least our understanding of how they, the creeps, use money. He's gotten us further along. How should I put this? Than any regular person has ever achieved in human history. That's a bold statement. I know it's a bold statement. I said regular person has ever achieved. Okay, um, we don't wear no robes. We ain't got no backroom passes to the Vatican Library. We got no insider information. We simply observe from, from our perspective. We ain't served no coffee and crimpets by Jared Kushner. We ain't in those meetings. So in terms of what a regular person is able to achieve, I don't. This is as far as anyone's ever gotten, in my opinion. I was stuck at 7 out of 10. I think he just took it to 10 out of 10. Okay, and I know that that's a bold statement, but you can decide via your inner tuning fork and inner knowing if you think Danny has hit on something here. I don't think Danny would mind me making a video right behind his video for a few different reasons. One, this message has to get out there. Two, French is Danny's first language, English is his second. I may be able to discuss things or even add things in certain sections. I certainly will link to his video. I will have a lot of back end discussion, guys, on the back end. But for anybody that doesn't have a lot of time, this is so important. I want to present his concept the best that I can in the first 5 minutes, get right to it. And then for anybody that doesn't understand, I'll try to explain things on the back end. So, truthers, people like me, we would always, you've heard me say and call out the first grade truthers in the past that they don't make moves for money. They don't need money because they can print up whatever they want on a Fed or ECB or Bank of Japan supercomputer. Print up $1 trillion a second if they want. So you've got the first grade truthers still saying, "Oh, when they, the war in Syria, they cook that war up. Oh, that's over money. That's a pipeline. They want some corporation wants to put a pipeline. We've heard this nonsense, or Gulf War One and Two, and Afghanistan, and that the going into the Middle East. That's about oil. That's about corporate interest. And come on, even the 7-Eleven job application, a first grade truther will say needed just to feed the military industrial complex. That was a quote, nice side tertiary benefit for the creeps, but that's not the reason they do these things. All right, they can print up $1 trillion a second on a supercomputer. Okay, we've gotten to this level. Danny just took us pretty much the whole way. So Danny says, wait a second. Yeah, they can print up whatever they want, $1 trillion a second, but a dollar isn't a dollar. It's not the same. He says the first main concept is they need your money. Okay? They need your money. That's the main concept. Let's back up a second. Okay, the physical representation of energy in this plane of existence on this earth is money. You can put them on either side of an equal sign. M on one side, money on one side, energy on the other. If you have all the money in the world, then you don't have to expend any energy because you have stored energy. You don't ever have to mow your lawn. You don't ever have to prepare a meal. And the same goes on the other side. If you just got out of the workhouses with Tiny Tim and you have no money, but you're young and strong, you can convert your energy into money. Okay. Or come up with a business idea. Say, okay, we got it. Money, energy on either side of the equal sign. So we also know that the back of the dollar bill is basically spellcraft. It ain't just pretty pictures and funny shapes. It's hardcore runes, some sort of weird spellcraft, occult things that people like you and me were just not meant to understand. We have a decent understanding of it, but we'll never understand exactly what it is. It doesn't matter. It's obviously part of their spellcraft. All right. So Dandy comes along and says they don't need money. They can print up whatever they want, like you truthers have been saying. They can print up $1 trillion a second, but they need your money. Because remember, one of the main concepts of this whole realm of existence is you have something here that feeds on energy. The concept of loosh, something here in a matter we don't truly understand, feeds on energy. Why, I've talked about recently, why is the concept of vampires so big and It's just so exciting and so much fun. You have to do endless horrible Twilight movies about vampires, and that the concept of vampirism is just carried forth in books and comic books and movies over and over and over and over and over. Well, it's the reality itself has to basically tell the truth in a roundabout manner. So you have money and energy being on either side of the equal sign, either side of the equal sign. You have the back of the dollar bill giving itself away as some sort of spellcraft. And yes, they can. The truther at my level got stuck, and we would always say, well, sure, they can print up whatever they want. They don't need your money to buy anything. But you see, when you have to pay 40% of your dollar earned in taxes to three levels of government, that's a form of control. That's as far as I got. And it is a form of control, no doubt. But Danny's saying it's not just that, okay, because the dollar that you create on per the back of your labor by a waitress going home at 11 o'clock at night, picking her kids up or being watched down the block and just exhausted, or a steel worker or an accountant. It doesn't have to be a physical job. An accountant that has to work Saturday and Sunday 5 weeks in a row during tax season, and then gets home late and can't be with their kids. Then these are dollars earned that I think Danny would say that carries a louche energy. Okay, so a dollar that the accountant gives up to whatever wants to feed on the energy that dollar represents, because they had to work till 10 o'clock at night the last 3 weekends before April 15th, that is not the same as a dollar that they can just print up on a supercomputer. That sure, it can buy a new bridge, and no municipality will ever fail, because they can just inject money wherever they want. But in terms of what this whole realm is about, the dark here is an energy harvester. It's a louche feeder. I think Danny's main concept is this dollar, if you could see it etherically, it carries not just weight, it carries real human energy, for the creative power of a real spiritual being, people like us, that has given part of itself away, or energy into the dollar, based on the fact that that dollar, in this case taxes, came from or was derived from the back of somebody's sweat labor. Then he might say that's the sweet ambrosia that they need to feed from. That's what the spellcraft on the back of the dollar bill and those weird runes are all about. I'm putting some words in Danny's mouth. I think he would agree with me. If he doesn't, he certainly will let me know. So he's saying a dollar ain't a dollar, and this is very interesting, because sure, we've talked about this system here. It's a system that creates anxiety, stress, worry, fear, anger, everything that real human beings throw out into the ether for something to feed upon in terms of louche. It puts human beings into a certain state to constantly feed the ether those types of negative emotions, stress, worry, anxiety, etc. But Dandy's saying, well, around another way, since the whole realm is set up to feed off real, generator beings, real human beings with some sort of still have good connection to something spirit, or a part of them that's not here. Saying, well, don't forget the louche via money. Okay, the louche via money, and the dollar that they prefer is the dollar that comes off the back of someone's sweat. And I was listening to him going, wow, yeah, that's it. I mean, that is because they don't need it. And it's when I would say, oh, it's just about control. Sure, it's about control, but is that it? It's almost like those weird symbols on the back of the dollar bill is some sort of conversion, you know, to trans tra- to trans to move across the equal sign. In other words, where they can take the money that came off the back of your labors and turn it into the energy that they need to feed upon from a louche perspective. So that is very, very interesting. We'll come back to that in a moment. But the other aspect, and I think I can add a little bit to this that Danny presented, and this hit me as soon as he was talking about it, was then he would say, then the money the sweet ambrosia money that they get from you off the backs of your labors, then they will destroy that to destroy your energy. Now this relates to these scandals we hear, well, probably weekly now, but let's look at the big scandals, the huge money waste scandals that come up every so many years. The big ones to me are, of course, surrounding the 7-Eleven job application. One being Donald Rumsfeld on the day before saying it was either 2.2 or 2.3 trillion was lost. Now, that's impossible. That's they're only saying that sort of thing because the truth has to be revealed, if not in a direct manner, in a roundabout manner. Nobody loses. Um, their budget is 600 at that time, 500 billion. So they lost the equivalent of 6 or 7 years of their budget. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's them having to tell the truth, for lack of better words, in a roundabout manner. I remember the number distinctly when I researched it. Apparently, after I don't know if it was Gulf War One or Two. I don't think it was Afghanistan. It was Gulf War One or Two. I think two, because there was a lot more rebuilding after Gulf War Two. Rebuilding, yeah. $600 billion was sent to uh, Iraq or Baghdad. And of course, I'll give you three guesses, but you're only going to need one. What came of the 600 billion? It was all perfectly used for schools and roads and humanitarian efforts. Of course, everybody, the story is so predictable that it's all going to be pissed away. It's all going to be lost. It's going to be stolen by this group of Baathists and just, of course. So that it at the first grade truth level, they want to put that story out that $600 billion of your tax dollars that came off the back of your labor was just given to Baghdad and Iraq, and then they just stole it and it just went away. They want people to get angry. They want people pissed off. And we always did recognize that loosh aspect where everybody hears the story, the news story is put out how 600 billion just pissed away in the first 5 weeks after Gulf War II, and millions of people get pissed off to some degree or another about it. I guess most people don't give a shit, but for the people that did get pissed off, yes, something probably sucks on that energy. But we missed a lot of things, and Danny brought a lot of things together in his video, saying this money going away, in a way, it's it's destroying your energy. Is this they It's kind of like, like in a basic accounting class in high school, how the balance sheet always has to balance out. I don't remember too much about my income statements and my balance sheet, but you always had to level it, always had to balance out. It's the yin to the yang, or how the duality in this regard, it's a balance sheet. Always has to balance out. So if they're going to feed upon energy that came off the backs of labor via tax dollars and money, and they're going to use the runes on the back of the dollar bill and their weird magic to feed on it, then to make the balance sheet correct, it has to go away. You see what I'm saying? Per the balance sheet that has to balance out, it has to go away. So is it as simple as saying when Donald Rumsfeld says, I'd like to announce that we lost $2.3 trillion dollars. He didn't even say it quietly. It was all, during in those congressional hearings or Senate hearings. They were basically laughing about it, I think. Well, that was the congressional hearing. I think when he was being confirmed, that they were laughing then. I don't think he was laughing when he said he lost 2.3 trillion. But nevertheless, the announcement was made. It wasn't a coincidence. It was the day before. And could it be as simple as them announcing we lost 2.3 trillion? And is that just another way of saying that we sucked 2.3 trillion of loose energy over such and such period of time that came off the backs and the sweats of your labors? Okay, I just took a few minutes trying to summarize what Danny was presenting. He'll let me know if I have anything wrong. Main message is, um, yeah, they like tax dollars a whole lot more than you guys ever considered, Matt, because we should have put two and two together. We know the creepy symbols in the back of the dollar bill is some sort of rune, some sort of spellcraft. Well, what's it there for? Is there to basically allow the energy that's put into money, potentially there, I don't know, that's there to potentially allow the money that's put in, the energy that's put into money via real sweat and labor from real people, real generator beings, into monetary form where that energy can be harvested on the back end or wherever it goes by whatever stands behind the screen here. And when you come to think of it, that makes a whole lot of sense. The money that they need to buy a bridge, they just print up on a supercomputer and it just comes off the Whopper. Does that it can buy a bridge, it can be sent out to contractors that'll get to work on that bridge right away. But does it carry anything that they could feed upon? I'm no expert at this sort of vampirism, but you understand, no, it doesn't seem like it would. So, this was a pretty, it seems basic and simple now. And the truth always is when it comes together the way Danny put it together. Like, how'd we miss this? But, he was, he presented the missing link. I have a note here about it, guys. It's probably just nonsense, but it hit me. I don't know why, and it's probably so dumb it's embarrassing, but I'm going to throw it out. I just said, what a coincidence that you have energy equals money, and one converts through, via back and forth to the other, just like we talked about. But what a coincidence. So in what I'm talking about E equals M, money, the physical representation of energy in this plane of existence. But what a coincidence. We have E equals M C squared. I mean, is that a coincidence? I don't, there's any coincidence anymore like this. I can't, what? What's he saying? Oh, you're saying science can prove that's the relationship between mass and energy, but you're saying that's the equation how they use the money for loose harvesting. Maybe. Would it be past him? Would you put it past him? No, you wouldn't. I don't know, guys. I have no idea. But I just thought, okay, I'm sitting here talking about E equals M, but then what's the most important equation in science? E equals MC squared. What's the C squared? How they suck the loosh? Look, this is way out there, and it's obviously, it's just nonsense. Maybe there's something to it. Smart people can comment, but I, just wanted to float it out there, just in case there's any chance. It's too, 99% it's wrong, and 1% there's something to it. If there's something to it, then it's important, and I just wanted to float it out there. Something else to explore. I don't know exactly how this will go, but Danny said something about, if I'm interpreting it properly, this is why they need wealth in the general society. There will always be a wealthy class, and not people that are served by Jared. I mean, just a general wealthy class. Like down here, you have Villanova and Ardmore, and these Bryn Mawr, and these houses are like, what do these people do that can afford the house after house? I think Danny would say you do need this wealthy class, and how did he put it, or the way I interpret it was that first of all, it's something you always have a wealthy class because it's something you need to show the lower class. That's something to strive for. That's all that's important in life, of course. Strive for this. You have to have enough wealthy so people can strive to that because, of course, that's all that matters in life. That's the complete opposite of spiritualism. But if you have enough wealthy, see the wealthy, many of the wealthy, of course, and I'm not talking the super wealthy, the heirs of J.P. Morgan. Like, we've talked about this a million times. It's the most fascinating topic in the world. All these mega moguls that were the equivalent, they were worth the equivalent of $200 billion or more back in 1900 or whenever it was. With Rockefeller, it was $350 billion equivalent wealth in it probably was not, I think it was 1911 when they broke up Standard Oil. It might have been 1917 when they broke up Standard Oil. If it was 1911, the year, would we be surprised? No, but somewhere around then. They said his net worth in today's equivalent was around 300 billion. But just take J.P. Morgan for example. Take J.P. Morgan for example because we've done the Rockefellers so many times, but it's just one case after another where the original mogul or somebody's great grandfather should have been worth 200 billion, but then We have no record today of any heirs or any relatives of those moguls. Like the money just went away. I mean, it's so ridiculous. They show the Forbes and the Fortune list, and they'll show Carlos Slim and Bill Gates and Bezos. Those people are paupers compared to the old money. Even if a few of the old families pissed a lot of their money away, well, most of them didn't. They had all the politicians in their pocket. They knew what was coming next. They knew what trends were coming next. So it's just so funny that we've done Rockefeller a bunch of times. How the Forbes article will show the net worth, so far below little coders like Zuckerberg, when the real net worth is well over a trillion. But you have all these other families, like the one that I'm going to look into for a video is JP Morgan Chase. And somebody's probably trying to talk to me now and try to explain what a public company is, and it all went public. Oh, sure. The old family of the original JP Morgan just would have been left with nothing. I mean, come on. We never hear from these people. None of these people. Like they all just it's the same story over and over again. Like, oh, Vanderbilt, Anderson Cooper got something, but it all squandered. Oh, sure. They squandered, with having built the infrastructure of the entire country with every politician in their pocket, knowing what was coming next. Yeah, they all pissed it away. Anyway, guys, sorry to stray. I'm not talking about that level of wealthy that they need to exist, because these are the levels that probably suck the loosh. I'm talking about the general wealthy up here in Bryn Mawr and Ardmore, whatever. They always will need the wealthy class, not just so that regular people will like, oh, I wish I could be that, and just covet it and make love in it. That they need a decent sized wealthy class, because they need this back of the dollar bill runes or whatever it's some sort of loosh conversion. If everybody's working if all there is people, getting, their paychecks at home, or their welfare at home, or their living wage, and some people working at Wendy's, and I don't think that from their perspective, then would that generate the ambrosia type loosh that they're looking for or they need? See what I'm saying? So it puts a whole new spin on the fact that, the truth, a lot of the truth community says they just want everybody on the living wage with almost nobody working. And how does that create? Well, Matt, if somebody comes and says, well, Matt, they found a lot of other ways to suck the loosh. They can create their ambrosia in different forms. Maybe they don't, once they get rid of cash, or they get rid, will cash never go away, because in some way they need those runes in the back to circulate. The circulation of something like a dollar, the movement of something also creates energy. The movement of something back and forth creates energy. A battery could never start a car if it was just one chemical. It needs to be two, or a variety of chemicals that in some way interact to create the energy. So can they ever truly get rid of cash? I don't, this is a lot of speculation, guys, but I think you're following most of what I'm saying. Guess I should close with this important topic, and it's beyond important in terms of a lot of times I'll present a video like this, and I'll talk about this more in detail some other video. I don't want to do it too much detail here. We'll just leave it at that. But I get the sense sometimes that we have to be very careful. People have talked about certain type of person here being not the same as others, or generator human beings, or human beings of a different type of incarnation or spiritual attachment. We have to be careful that we know how used the truth community is, that we didn't just play right into their hands. So I think this a lot when I make a video, and we have to be very careful and then work to nullify it. So we will nullify it quickly in this video at the end, but then make a separate video. If this is hit on something, then maybe this won't even get out. But I'm going to be very vague with it and do it in another video. So when I say, if I come forward, it's the same. It gets back to the revelation of the method. If Danny comes out and says something, then Matt camps onto it. I'm not saying, obviously, Danny is trying the best he can. I'm trying the best I can. Is this potentially how we're used via revelation of the method, used by the creeps that stand behind the screen? Danny says something that I think, okay, he just hit on the missing link. I put it out to thousands of people, And because I describe and say it in a way that this is how it must be working, did I just validate that it's allowed to work that way from there? See what I'm saying? So I think this is how it must be working. Those things in the back of the deal, this is exactly, in my opinion, this is how they convert real the sweat of labor to loose energy. And somebody in the control center, the Chernobyl control center, going, oh, this Matt guy, how we use the truth community. He just validated it. He just said must be how it's working. So he got thousands of people to think that's exactly how it works. He just got thousands of people to think that, and because that could be a very dangerous thing once we get out of here, we realize potentially what we really are or really were. Then we'll say very quickly in this video that this we may realize this is how it works or has been working, or they want it to work, and we invalidate it. If it is up to us, we don't allow it anymore. I don't want to say any more than that in this video. But just noticing something, then we need to come on the back end just in case. Well, Matt, what are you, some kind of god or something? We don't know what we are exactly. We want to. I know I am far more than this incarnation, this avatar in this snow globe. Okay, I'm going to err on the side that we are. What was on the wallet of Jules in the diner? Well, what? Go reach into that bag, Ringo, and get me my wallet. Which one? It's the one that says bad mother. We need to err on that side that we are bad mother. Okay, if we realize this is how money works, well, let's everybody right now invalidate it, if that's the right word. It ain't allowed to happen that way anymore. Why? Because we said so. Why not err on that side? What do we have to lose? I'm not going to say any more than that. I want the video to load. Thanks, guys.